The Giants lost and the refs didn't help. Let's break down the bad calls, the bad football, and why this L hurts a little bit more than the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Bet the Over podcast. I'm your host, Kevin. Today I'll be breaking down week 7 Eagles versus Giants. So let's get into the scores. So at the end of this game, the final score was 38-20. Eagles obviously took down the Giants. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Giants would have won this game without the terrible officiating because both the Eagles and the Giants got really, really bad calls. Overall, I think the officiating was terrible. However, there were some very significant plays that were called against the Giants, and it just felt like every call would go the Philadelphia Eagles' way. So now, in a second, I'm going to share my screen. Let me pull that up for you guys. Share screen. Let's get up the YouTube videos. Okay. So the first video we're going to break down was the most significant one. This is the one that's getting played um, over and over again, posted by Sports with Sully. So this first play, it's obviously a tush push, of course, because that's what they always run on first and short. And in this clip, it looks like Jalen Hurts is originally stopped. However, the refs don't call it dead. He has a second effort reach for the first down. And in that time, his knee never touched the ground. He was still suspended in the air. He was actually on top of a couple of his players. And when he goes for that second effort reach, it looks like Kayvon strips the ball and recovers the fumble. Now, there was no whistle blown when he originally was stopped at the line of scrimmage. However, he second extended for a second time, and then as soon as Kayvon recovered the ball, that's when the refs kind of started blowing the whistle. So overall, that play, it was pretty bad. I think it should have been a fumble, like 100%. He was reaching, he was going for it, and the refs said he was down by contact, and Dable tried to challenge. However, they deemed it unchallengeable. Now, this brings up a common conversation where if you think the tush push should be banned or not. Now, me personally, if you asked me before the season started, I would have said it's a legal play. Every team can run it. So I think it's fair game. However, it seems like every single week there seems to be a controversial call with the tush push. Now, if you can't officiate it correctly, how can that be a legal play in the NFL? So I think they should still continue to keep it. However, if they keep running into controversial plays and it needs to be challenged and everything, and these false starts keep occurring where the person is clearly moving before the ball is snapped, I think they should have a deeper conversation and probably potentially ban it for next season or and every season going forward, obviously. Now, that was only one of there was like three major plays, I'd say. This next one isn't even super significant. However, you can clearly see in this next one. So as you can see, the left tackle of the Philadelphia Eagles flinches a little bit, which causes Kayvon to obviously react, as all pass rushers do. And after the flinching of the offensive linemen, who are technically not supposed to move whatsoever before the ball is snapped, Kayvon reacts. He jumps off sides. And it wasn't called on the Eagles. It was called on Kayvon for a false start. I think that ended up them getting a first down. And that was that was two really bad calls. I mean, the refs, like I said before, kind of really were doing pretty bad with the officiating. Shout out to Jack of Sports Card for that clip. And then the last one I want to break down. This one was presented by Connor Lynn something. So this play looked like Dart had a touchdown to Slayton, finally back in the lineup. However, this was actually called with offensive pass interference. Now, with this one, I do kind of agree that it was offensive pass interference. However, you can clearly see Quinyon Mitchell grab his hand and pull him back. So it was mostly hand fighting. Um, Me personally, I don't think it should ever be called offensive pass interference. I could see a cancellation penalty where it's defensive holding and offensive pass interference, in which it would result in a non-play, replay, I think it was third down. The fact that that was OPI is kind of insane. Um, he was grabbing his hand and he slightly pushed off. Like, what are you gonna do? It's basic hand fighting. It should have been a no call or it should have been an offsetting penalties. Now, like I said before, there was also plays in this game in which the Eagles kind of got screwed out of some stuff. I don't have anything particular because I was mainly focused on the Giants, but overall, this officiating was really, really bad. Either way, I think the Giants would have lost this game. Um, the Eagles clearly outplayed them. It looked like 2 weeks ago when the Giants outplayed the Eagles. Um, Biggest thing was the defense could not stop the run. I think it was literally the first or second play of the game where Saquon ripped a 65-yard touchdown. Um, the run defense has been absolutely atrocious this year. Uh, I don't know. They've tried to attack defensive tackle. I know they drafted Alexander. They have Nunez Roches. Dexter Lawrence is supposed to be the biggest run stopper on the team. However, he's kind of had a disappointing season up to this point, up to his standard. There was even a recent post where Carl Banks actually called him out, saying that he should be this big force and he's playing down to his competition. He's not playing up to his standard. That's kind of a big call out from Carl Banks because he's usually positive on these players. Most Giants players he's pretty optimistic about. So him calling him out is kind of a big deal. Now, you can't blame it all on Dexter Lawrence, but it's pretty bad. The defense is absolutely atrocious this year. I know Giants fans are looking for Shane Bowen to be fired immediately, and I do agree. He's been done a terrible job. Their defensive line is too good for them to be giving up 38 points, 40 points every week. Like even Broncos last week. Obviously, we know all about that too well, blowing a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter. Now, the other big thing that really made this loss, it was like the cherry on top of an already bad week was Skattebo's injury. Prayers up to Scat. I hope he comes back 100%. It was a gruesome injury. Um, I literally, I wasn't even home, so I was streaming the game on my phone and I logged in a little bit late. And as soon as I logged in, the second play I saw it happen. Um, it was absolutely brutal. He was like the only offensive weapon Dart had to throw to because we all know Malik is out. I mean, Slayton's back, but he's not a number one. Wandale's a good slot guy, maybe a wide receiver too. But Skattebo was our next big offensive weapon, and it just sucks that he's hurt now too. They have their two biggest offensive weapons are now out for the season, and I think it's really going to negatively affect Dart. He's obviously going to have to rely on some of these not so spectacular guys like Bo Collins. Um, who else? He's going to have to rely on Bellinger, Theo Johnson, Slayton, Wandale. He's really got to. Humphreys is also another guy. He's going to really have to distribute the ball because he doesn't have a true offensive weapon anymore, like Skattebo or Malik. So yeah, it was a really gruesome injury. It was right when the Giants started to get exciting, and it was fun to tune in on Sundays to watch Dart and Skattebo, the two fantastic rookies. One of them's got to go down. Now, every week, I think there's going to be a question whether Joe Shane or Brian Dable are going to stay. It's really a tough choice. I feel like last year was the year to clear house. They obviously didn't. They stuck with them. I think now, since you kind of committed to them, I think you got to keep them for another couple years, maybe 1, 2 more years. Obviously, Dable and Dart have a pretty good relationship. A lot of people have been roasting Joe Shane, and yeah, he's done some questionable things. I mean, hindsight is always 2020, but I kind of like Shane. I mean, he's very analytical driven. Like he doesn't value replaceable pieces like running backs and safeties, going back to Saquon and McKinney. He won't pay them big bucks, and he typically tends to try and get more value driven players, which hasn't necessarily worked out because this season, specifically on defense, they're just as bad as they were the past couple years. even under the Gettleman era, like they're still bottom half of the league in run defense. He keeps trying to address defensive tackle. He signed a bunch of people, none of them really play well. I've seen a bunch of people write down how he traded away Leonard Williams to Seattle for a second round pick, and that really screwed them over. He's been trying to address safety in the draft. Newman hasn't been doing too hot lately. So I could see both sides of the argument for Shane. At the same time, you could argue for him to stay. He got Dart. He drafted Malik. He's got Skattebo. Drew Phillips is a promising young player. I mean, it's really I feel like his picks are either boom or bust. They either hit big time and they're big time stars, or they flop and it was basically a waste of a pick. So that's about it. I try to keep these episodes a little bit shorter nowadays, maybe under 15 minutes. Shout out to Big Dom on Philadelphia for bringing the pizza to Skattebo in the emergency room. That was a good gesture by Big Dom, the Eagles security guard. Shout out to the Jets, man. What was it, 39-38 win over the Bengals? Glenn drew up that ballsy call to throw the ball for I don't know if it was the 2-point conversion or if it was the touchdown, but that was a wild play. Steve's got to hop on now, my former co-host. I said he won't come back till the Jets win a game, and just that next week they come in and catch a dub. So Giants rest of the season, though. Obviously, this season looks cooked. They still have a brutal schedule. They got the Niners coming up. They have the Patriots who are looking really good. They got to play Dallas again. They got to play Washington again. They still have a gauntlet of a schedule. We knew this year would be really tough. However, the future is bright with Dart. He seems like he's a very good quarterback, and um, I just want to see how the Giants are going to mess this one up. So on to 49ers. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Everyone tune in. Let me know if you want what type of videos you want, if you want more longer podcasts or if you want shorter breakdowns. And I'll try and upload at least once a week, if not a couple times per week. So thanks for tuning in.